Grace Thompson's hands trembled as she held the pink Mother's Day card, its cheerful flower drawings a cruel disguise. It was May 11, 2025, in her daughter Danielle's suburban Ohio living room. Grace, 74, wore her emerald green dress, the one that made her feel elegant despite her age. She'd arrived with daisies from her garden and homemade cookies for her grandkids, Liam and Sophie, expecting a day of love. Instead, she faced devastation. Danielle handed her the card with a forced smile. "It's from all of us, Mom. Read it out loud." Grace's heart fluttered. Surrounded by family, Danielle, her son-in-law Michael, 8-year-old Liam, and 6-year-old Sophie, she opened the envelope. Crayon scribbles from the kids warmed her. How sweet, she thought, clearing her throat. Roses are red, violets are blue. Her voice broke. The words hit like blows. "You're a heavy burden. No one wants you here. Your time has passed. It's time for you to go. Signed, your family who can't stand you anymore." Silence gripped the room for 3 agonizing seconds. Then Michael's laugh erupted, sharp and mocking. Danielle covered her mouth, giggling. Even the kids, caught in the adults' mirth, chuckled nervously. "Did you see your face, Mom?" Danielle said, laughing. "Michael, get a picture." Grace's world crumbled. Tears spilled down her wrinkled cheeks, the card slipping to the floor. "It's just a joke," Danielle said, no remorse in her tone. "Don't be so dramatic." Michael picked up the card. "Yeah, Grace, lighten up. But, he paused, smirking, "you've been a bit too present lately. Maybe consider other options." "Other options?" Grace whispered, voice cracking. Danielle sat, her tone shifting to condescension. "There are great senior living communities, Mom, places for people your age. You'd be more comfortable." The words senior living rang like a death sentence. Her family wanted to discard her like worn-out furniture. Grace stood, legs unsteady. "I should go." Danielle didn't rise. "Okay, Mom, we'll call later." Grace stumbled to her modest clapboard house, the drive a blur of tears. Alone, she collapsed into her armchair, the one where she'd nursed Danielle 45 years ago, and sobbed until her tears ran dry. The humiliation burned, but it woke something fierce. She wasn't a burden. She was their foundation. Memories flooded in, each a reminder of her sacrifices. When Danielle was 3, her father vanished, leaving a note, "I can't do this." Grace held her crying daughter, vowing she'd never lack. She worked double shifts at a textile mill, hands calloused from sewing uniforms late into the night. For Danielle's nursing degree, she sold her mother's jewelry, the only heirloom she owned. "Mom, are you sure?" Danielle had asked. "Your education's everything," Grace replied. Weekends cleaning offices left her back aching, but Danielle's bright eyes made it worth it. Graduation day, Danielle hugged her. "We did it, Mom." Grace paid $12,000 for half her wedding to Michael, a polite man, then. For their house, $25,000 down payment. When grandkids arrived, Grace walked 6 blocks daily to babysit, cooking, cleaning, reading stories. "You're an angel," Danielle once said. When Michael lost his job, Grace sent $500 monthly. They never stopped taking, even after he found work. But gratitude faded. "You're interfering," Michael snapped when Grace suggested a doctor for Liam's cough. "You don't have the energy," Danielle said, dismissing her babysitting. Last Christmas, Grace's gifts, a bike, tablet, perfume, tools, were buried under theirs. Her heirloom pearl necklace. "I don't wear jewelry," Danielle said, handing it back. 3 months ago, Grace overheard Michael on the phone. "My mother-in-law's too dependent. We're looking at senior homes." Then the flu hit, 102-degree fever. "We're busy," Danielle said when Grace begged for help. A neighbor brought soup while her family ignored her. Now holding the card's cruel words, Grace's sadness turned to fire. She opened a wooden box, bank statements, deeds, a secret. $400,000 from a Nassau condo inherited from her mother and investments from her Aunt Lucille. They thought her poor, living on Social Security. She'd funded their life, $67,000 in 5 years. Wedding, house, aid, computers, $2,000, car repairs, $4,000, kitchen remodel, $8,000. She'd worn the same dress, walked to save gas while they took without thanks. No more. Grace wouldn't flee to Nassau. She'd build anew. Kansas City, Missouri, heartland of jazz, barbecue, second chances, called her. She'd open a diner. Hire seniors dismissed as burdens, prove their worth. Her worth. Tuesday morning, Grace transformed. In her gray suit, makeup flawless, hair in a sophisticated bun, she looked powerful. At the bank, she canceled $500 monthly transfers, closed a joint account. "Big changes, ma'am?" Mr. Henderson said, concerned. "My money, my choice," Grace replied, voice steady. At the lawyer's, she rewrote her will. Estate to a foundation for abandoned seniors, trust for grandkids at 25 if they maintained genuine contact. "Drastic, Grace," Mr. Franklin warned. "I've thought for 74 years," she said, signing firmly. She wrote letters. To Danielle, "I'm moving to Kansas City. Your support ends. I gave you everything, money, love, time. You called me a burden. Prove you value me, not my wallet." To Michael, "You saw my generosity as weakness. I funded your life. Stand on your own now." She left them on her coffee table, packed a suitcase, and headed to the airport. Kansas City's summer air hit her, humid, alive with promise. Jazz notes drifted from 18th and Vine, the historic district where legends like Charlie Parker played. Barbecue smoke wafted, tempting her. Grace rented a cozy apartment above a shop, its windows overlooking neon signs. She scoured listings, finding Mabel's Place on Troost Avenue, a rundown diner with cracked boots, grimy windows, but endless potential. With $150,000, she bought it, renaming it Grace's Table. Renovations began. Contractors fixed plumbing, polished chrome countertops. Grace painted walls sunflower yellow, hung warm lights, reupholstered booths. Her menu, Heartland Comfort. Meatloaf with tangy glaze, creamy mac and cheese, flaky biscuits, peach cobbler from her mother's recipe. The heart was her staff. Ads called for seniors ready to shine. Esther, 68, an ex-librarian, mastered pies. Clarence, 72, a jazz trumpeter, grilled with flair. Rosa, 70, a widow, baked biscuits that melted hearts. They bonded over coffee, sharing stories. Esther's library days, Clarence's gigs with Count Dicie's band, Rosa's family recipes from Mexico. "We're not old, we're experienced," Grace said. She hired them, promising, "You're the soul of this place." Opening day, July 15th, loomed. Grace's nerves fluttered, but hope burned brighter. The diner opened quietly. Locals trickled in, drawn by coffee's aroma, Grace's warm smile. Hank, a trucker, took a stool. "Best meatloaf in KC," he declared, mouthful. A young couple posted on X. "Grace's Table is a gem." Word spread. By August, booths filled daily. Families, workers, seniors. Jazz played softly, Clarence's playlist. Grace stood behind the counter, apron replacing her emerald dress. Ohio's pain faded, replaced by purpose. Grace's Table wasn't just a diner, it was her rebellion, her redemption. She turned humiliation into hope, proving she wasn't a burden, she was a builder. As August sunsets painted the sky, Grace smiled, ready for what came next. Grace Thompson woke to the hum of Kansas City's 18th and Vine district, jazz notes drifting through her apartment window. It was August 2025, 6 weeks since she'd left Ohio, fleeing the sting of a Mother's Day card that branded her a burden. At 74, she'd traded humiliation for purpose, pouring $150,000 of her secret $400,000 fortune into Grace's Table, a diner on Troost Avenue. The sunflower yellow walls, chrome countertops, and warm lights were her rebellion against her daughter Danielle's cruelty and her son-in-law Michael's disdain. The diner buzzed with life. Esther, 68, a former librarian with a silver bun, rolled out pie dough, her apple fillings scenting the air. Clarence, 72, a jazz trumpeter with a quick grin, flipped burgers at the grill, humming Charlie Parker tunes. Rosa, 70, a widow with a hearty laugh, shaped biscuits that melted on the tongue. Grace's vision, hiring seniors dismissed as past their prime, was thriving. Customers filled booths, drawn by meatloaf with tangy glaze, creamy mac and cheese, and peach cobbler from her mother's recipe. Hank, a retired trucker with a gray beard, claimed his usual stool. "Morning, Grace. That cobbler ready?" he asked, eyes twinkling. "Fresh from the oven," Grace replied, sliding a plate over. A young couple, snapping photos of their biscuits, posted on X. "Grace's table is Casey's soul food haven." Notifications pinged Grace's phone, reviews calling the diner a hidden gem. Locals loved the seniors' warmth, Clarence's playlist, the comfort of home-cooked meals. Grace moved with purpose, apron dusted with flour, her emerald dress retired for practicality. Ohio's pain lingered, Danielle's laughter, Michael's senior living jab, and the $67,000 she'd given them. But Kansas City healed her. Esther shared stories of library days, Clarence of jazz gigs, Rosa of her late husband's farm. "We're not old," she told them. "We're the heart of this place." They nodded, bonded by purpose. Mid-morning trouble brewed. Across Troost, a neon sign flickered on. Burger Bonanza, a sleek chain diner with flashing lights and a drive-thru. Manager Todd, a slick 30-something in a polo shirt, sauntered over. "Cute spot, Grandma," he smirked. "But folks want fast, not folksy." Grace's jaw tightened. "We're family, not fast food." Todd chuckled. "Good luck keeping up." By noon, cars lined Burger Bonanza's drive-thru. Grace's receipts dipped 15%. Esther frowned. "They're stealing our crowd." Clarence muttered, "Kids got no soul." Grace refused to falter. "We've got heart. They can't match that." She brainstormed with her crew. "Let's host a seniors' night. Live jazz, half-price desserts, show Casey what we're about." Clarence grinned. "I'll call my old band." Esther suggested pie specials. Rosa pitched biscuit sliders. Grace designed flyers, posted on X. "Join Grace's table for seniors' night August 20th, jazz, food, soul." Locals shared it, buzz building. The week before the event, a call disrupted Grace's rhythm. "Mom, it's Danielle." Grace's heart clenched. Since her letters, cutting off financial support, exposing their betrayal, she hadn't spoken to her daughter. "What is it?" Grace asked, voice cool. "Liam and Sophie miss you. Michael's got a work crisis. I'm pulling doubles at the hospital. Can they stay a week?" Grace paused. The kids, 8 and 6, weren't to blame for their parents' cruelty. "Send them. For them, not you." Liam and Sophie arrived at Kansas City International Airport, backpacks bouncing. Sophie clutched a stuffed bear, Liam his Nintendo Switch. "Grandma!" they shouted, hugging her tightly. Grace's throat tightened, love softening her resolve. In the cab to Troost, Sophie chattered about school, Liam about games. "You live here?" Sophie asked, eyeing the diner's neon sign. "I own it," Grace said, pride swelling. "And you're helping." Next morning, Grace put them to work. "No free rides," she teased, handing Liam a rag for tables, Sophie a stack of napkins to fold. Liam groaned. "This is boring." Sophie pouted. "I want to play." Grace knelt. "Family helps family. You'll see." Clarence took Liam to the grill, showing him pancake flips. Batter splattered and Liam yelped, making Clarence roar with laughter. "Like this, kid." Esther taught Sophie to crimp pie crust. "You're a natural, sweetie," she said, as Sophie beamed. The kids' grumbles faded. Liam took orders, his shy grin charming customers. "What'll you be?" he'd ask, notepad wobbling. Sophie drew crayon flowers on menus, proudly showing Rosa. Hank, the trucker, regaled Liam with tales of cross-country hauls. "Drove through a blizzard in '98, kid, tough as nails." Liam snorted milk, laughing. Sophie giggled as Rosa shaped biscuits into hearts. "For you, mija," Rosa said. Evenings, Grace took them to the balcony of her apartment above the diner.
Stars twinkled over Kansas City skyline, jazz drifting from below. "Grandma, why did you leave us?" Sophie asked, bear in her lap. Grace sighed, choosing honesty. "I didn't leave you, sweetheart. I left a place where I wasn't valued. Here, I'm building something real." Liam looked up. "This place is cool." Grace hugged them, tears pricking. These moments stitched her heart back together. Seniors' night loomed. Clarence's bandmates, gray-haired but spry, rehearsed, trumpets and saxes filling the diner with soul. Esther baked extra pies, apple, pecan, cherry. Rosa prepped biscuit sliders. Grace designed flyers, posted on X. Join Grace's table for Seniors' Night, August 20th. Jazz, food, soul. Locals shared it, buzz building. The night arrived, August 20th. Crowds packed Grace's table, spilling onto the sidewalk. Clarence's band wailed, notes soaring like the city's jazz legends. Customers swayed, devouring pie slices and sliders. Hank led a toast, "To Grace, who gave us a home." Cheers erupted. A local blogger filmed, posting on X. "Grace's table is KC's soul heartbeat." The video went viral, shares climbing into thousands. Burger Bonanza's lot sat empty, Todd's smirk gone. Grace watched, heart full. Liam served drinks, tripping comically but recovering with a grin. Sophie handed out napkins, crayon flowers pinned to her shirt. Customers raved. These seniors are gold, and the kids, adorable. Grace's mission shone. Seniors weren't burdens, they were stars. But Danielle's shadow lingered. A voicemail came, "Mom, kids okay? We'll pick them Sunday." Grace didn't reply, focusing on Liam and Sophie. She taught Liam about her past. "I raised your mom alone, worked double shifts so she could dream." Liam listened, eyes wide. "You're strong, Grandma." Sophie crawled into her lap. "I love you." Grace kissed her forehead, healing a little more. Saturday brought chaos, a rush catering order for a jazz festival. The kitchen buzzed. Liam burned toast, smoke triggering laughter. Sophie spilled flour, dusting herself white. "I'm a ghost," she squealed. Grace guided them, and they delivered. Trays of meatloaf, biscuits, cobbler. Customers at the festival raved. Ex-posts tagging Grace's table. "KC's finest," one read. That night, exhausted, Grace tucked the kids in. "Love you, Grandma," Sophie murmured, half asleep. Liam nodded. "This place is awesome." Grace's heart swelled. She'd built more than a diner. She'd built a legacy. But Sunday loomed, and with it Danielle and Michael. Could she face them? Could wounds heal? As she locked the diner, jazz fading, Grace stood under the neon sign. Ohio's pain felt distant. Kansas City, her home. She wasn't a burden. She was a builder. Whatever came next, she'd face it with the strength she'd rediscovered.
Grace Thompson stood behind the counter of Grace's table, wiping flour from her apron as the morning sun lit up the sunflower yellow walls. It was late August 2025, and her Kansas City diner hummed with life. The neon sign glowed on Troost Avenue, drawing locals for meatloaf, mac and cheese, and peach cobbler. At 74, Grace had turned the sting of a cruel Mother's Day card, branding her a burden, into purpose, building a haven for seniors like Esther, Clarence, and Rosa, who proved their worth daily. Esther, 68, arranged cherry pies, her silver bun gleaming under the lights. Clarence, 72, flipped burgers at the grill, his jazz trumpet case nearby humming a Miles Davis tune. Rosa, 70, shaped biscuits, her laughter filling the kitchen. Customers packed booths, from families to workers, drawn by the food and the seniors' warmth. Hank, the retired trucker, slurped coffee at his usual stool. "Grace, this brace is magic," he said. A viral X post from Seniors' Night, Clarence's band rocking, pies flying, had cemented the diner's fame. KC's heart beats here. Grace's grandkids, Liam and Sophie, were in their final days of a week-long visit. 8-year-old Liam took orders, his notepad steadier now, charming customers with his shy grin. "What's it gonna be?" he'd ask, mimicking Clarence.
6-year-old Sophie decorated menus with crayon flowers, her stuffed bear propped beside her. Their arrival had softened Grace's heart, despite the pain of their parents' betrayal. Danielle's laughter, Michael's push for a senior home, the $67,000 she'd given them over 5 years. The kids thrived under the senior's mentorship. Clarence taught Liam to grill burgers, laughing when one slid off the spatula. "Keep at it, kid." Sophie baked her first pie with Esther, apple, lopsided but sweet. "Unnatural," Esther declared. Rosa showed Sophie biscuit tricks, shaping dough into stars. "For you, mija." Liam listened to Hank's trucking tales, eyes wide. "Drove through a tornado once," Hank boasted, making Liam snort milk. Sophie hugged Grace nightly. "You're the best, Grandma." Grace shared her past, carefully. "I raised your mom alone, worked hard so she could dream," she told Liam one evening, cleaning cables. "You're tough," he said, awed. Sophie crawled into her lap. "Why'd you leave?" Grace sighed. "I needed a place where I'm valued." Their love stitched her wounds, but Sunday loomed. Danielle and Michael were coming to pick them up. Trouble struck midweek. Heavy rains battered Kansas City, flooding the diner's basement. Water ruined $3,000 in supplies, flour, sugar, canned goods. Grace's heart sank as she surveyed the damage, water lapping at her shoes. Esther fretted. "Insurance won't cover this quick." Clarence cursed. "Damn storm." Rosa prayed softly in Spanish. Grace rallied them. "We've faced worse. We'll rebuild." She dipped into her savings, $10,000 to replace stock and fix plumbing. Hank started a GoFundMe, locals donating $5,000. Jazz musicians played free gigs, drawing crowds. A church group brought food, kids painted "We Love Grace's Table" signs. Grace teared up. "This is family," she told her staff. The diner reopened in days, stronger. Customers cheered, booths packed again. But another threat lingered. Todd, manager of Burger Bonanza across the street, spread rumors. "That old place? Health code issues." Grace's jaw clenched when a customer mentioned it. "He's scared of us," she told Clarence. Inspectors arrived, unannounced. Grace's spotless kitchen, mopped daily, fridges pristine, passed with flying colors. "Keep it up," the inspector said. Grace smirked at Todd's empty lot. "Nice try." Liam and Sophie helped through the chaos. Liam hauled boxes, grumbling but proud when Clarence high-fived him. Sophie dried dishes, giggling when bubbles popped. Grace taught them resilience. "Life throws storms," she said, "but you rebuild." Liam nodded. "Like you, Grandma." Sophie drew a rainbow over the diner on a menu, taping it to the counter. Grace entered Grace's table in a Kansas City barbecue contest, a bold move. "Our meatloaf can stand with the best," she told her crew. They prepped for days, perfecting glazes, testing sides. Liam rubbed spices, sneezing comically. Sophie decorated the contest booth with crayon signs. Contest day, September 1st, the river market buzzed with crowds, smoke rising from grills, judges raved. Soulful, tangy, pure KC. Grace's meatloaf won third. A shiny trophy on the counter. "For us," she said, hugging her staff. Sunday arrived, tense. Danielle and Michael pulled up in a rented USV, looking worn. The diner was packed, seniors hustling, jazz playing. Danielle stepped in, jaw dropping. "Mom, you built this?" Grace, apron dusted, stood tall. "Welcome to my life." Michael shifted awkwardly, eyes scanning the bustling space. Liam ran over. "Mom, Dad, Grandma's diner is awesome." Sophie hugged Danielle. "She's the best." They sat in a booth, meatloaf and biscuits before them. Danielle fidgeted. "We didn't know you had this." Michael cleared his throat. "Things are tight, Grace. Mortgage is late. We thought—" Grace cut him off, voice steel. "You thought I'd write another check after that card? After $67,000? She listed her sacrifices. $12,000 for their wedding, $25,000 for their house, $500 monthly, computers, car repairs, kitchen remodel. You took, never thanked me. Called me a burden. Danielle's eyes teared. It was a stupid joke, Mom. I'm sorry. Michael stared at his plate. Liam tugged Danielle's sleeve. Don't be mean to Grandma. She's strong. Sophie nodded. She made this place. Grace leaned forward. It wasn't just the card. You pushed me out, ignored my flu, planned my senior home. I gave everything. Money, love, time. You gave me scorn. Danielle whispered, I see that now. Michael nodded stiffly. We messed up. Grace softened, but held firm. I love you, Danielle, but love isn't a blank check. Want me back? Earn it. Visit without asking for money. Call because you care. Liam hugged her. We will, Grandma. Sophie climbed into her lap, bear in hand. That evening, Danielle stayed to help clean, wiping tables in silence. As they locked up, she hugged Grace tightly. I miss you, Mom. Grace's throat tightened. Miss you too. Prove it. Michael shook her hand, awkward but sincere. We'll try. The kids waved from the car, promising to return. Grace stood under the neon sign, jazz fading, heart torn but hopeful. Monday, the diner hummed again. Ex-posts raved. Grace's table is KC's soul. A local paper called, wanting a feature. 74-year-old turns pain into purpose. Grace agreed, posing with her staff, trophy gleaming. Esther's Pies won a fair ribbon. Clarence planned more jazz nights. Rosa's biscuits drew lines. Grace reflected, wiping the counter. She'd faced floods, rivals, family betrayal, and won. As September's sun set, Grace sat with her crew, coffee mugs raised. To us, Clarence said, not done yet. Grace smiled, heart full. Ohio's pain was distant. Kansas City was home. Grace's table was her legacy, built on resilience, love, and second chances. Danielle's hug lingered, a crack in the wall. Healing was possible, but it would take time.
Winter blanketed Kansas City in snow, transforming Troost Avenue into a glittering wonderland. Grace Thompson, 74, stood outside Grace's table, her diner's neon sign glowing against the dusk. It was November 2025, and the diner had become a Kansas City staple since its July opening. Sunflower yellow walls, chrome countertops, and the aroma of meatloaf and peach cobbler drew crowds daily. Grace had turned the pain of a cruel Mother's Day card, calling her a burden, into a beacon of purpose, proving seniors like her weren't done yet. Inside, the diner hummed. Esther, 68, stacked pecan pies, her silver bun catching the warm lights. Clarence, 72, grilled burgers, his jazz trumpet case propped nearby, humming Ella Fitzgerald. Rosa, 70, shaped biscuits, her laughter mingling with the clink of plates. Customers filled booths, locals, families, students, drawn by comfort food and the seniors' infectious energy. Hank, the retired trucker, slurped coffee at his stool. Grace, this place is home, he said, raising his mug. Grace's grandkids, Liam and Sophie, had returned to Ohio in September after a week at the diner. Their defense of her, Grandma's awesome, echoing during a tense confrontation with their parents, Danielle and Michael. Grace had laid bare her sacrifices, $67,000 over 5 years for their wedding, house, and more, met with ingratitude and a push for a senior home. Danielle's tearful apology and Michael's stiff nod hinted at change, but Grace held firm. Earn my love, not my money. The diner faced trials, but thrived. A summer flood had damaged the basement, costing $10,000, but community donations and Grace's savings rebuilt it. Rival Burger Bonanza spread health code rumors, but Grace's spotless kitchen passed inspections. A barbecue contest win, third place for her meatloaf, cemented the diner's fame. Ex-posts braved. Grace's table is Casey's soul. A local paper's feature, 74-year-old turns pain into purpose, had lines forming daily. Grace expanded her mission, hiring more seniors. Tom, 69, a former mechanic, fixed equipment, his toolbox a fixture. Lena, 71, a retired teacher, hosted storytelling nights, her tales of Casey's history packing the diner. You're not burdens, you're stars, Grace told them. They bonded over coffee, sharing laughs and losses.
Esther's library stories, Clarence's jazz gigs, Rose's family recipes, Tom's car restorations, Lena's classroom antics, each added soul to Grace's table. Winter brought new challenges. Snowstorms slowed foot traffic, and heating bills soared. Grace adjusted, offering hot cocoa specials and cozy soups, beef barley, chicken noodle. Customers lingered by the new hearth, its crackle warming the room. Catering gigs flooded in, office parties, church events. Grace hired a part-time cook, Mabel, 66, whose cornbread rivaled Rose's biscuits. "We're a family," she said, watching her crew hustle. Danielle's calls became weekly, a shift from her silence after Grace cut financial support. "How's the diner, Mom?" she'd ask, sharing nursing stories, no money requests. Grace softened, but stayed cautious. Liam and Sophie FaceTimed often, Liam showing drawings, Sophie chattering about school. "Can we come for Thanksgiving?" they begged. Grace smiled. "Only if you help with pies." She sent care packages, cobbler, handwritten notes, feeling their bond grow. Michael sent an apology letter. "I was wrong, Grace. You deserved better. I'm trying." Grace tucked it away, unsure. When his job faltered again, Danielle called. Not for cash, but advice. "Mom, how'd you keep going alone?" Grace shared her mill days, sewing uniforms till midnight. "Hard work builds character," she said. Danielle listened, voice soft. "I took you for granted." Grace's heart stirred, but trust needed time. Grace Thompson stood outside Grace's table, the neon sign casting a warm glow over Troost Avenue's spring dusk. It was April 2030, and at 80, Grace moved slower, her silver hair now in a loose braid. But her spirit burned bright. The diner, born from the ashes of a cruel 2025 Mother's Day card that branded her a burden, was a Kansas City icon. Sunflower yellow walls, chrome countertops, and the scent of meatloaf and peach cobbler drew crowds daily, from locals to tourists chasing the KC soul raved about on X. Inside, the diner thrummed. Esther, now 73, overseen pie production, her cherry recipe a city legend. Clarence, 77, still grilled, his jazz trumpet gleaming in its case, playing gigs monthly. Rosa, 75, baked biscuits, her laughter a diner staple. Newer hires, Tom, 74, fixing equipment, and Lena, 76, hosting storytelling nights, kept the mission alive. Seniors weren't burdens, they were stars. Grace had built a family, not just a business, proving her worth after her daughter Danielle's betrayal. 5 years had transformed everything. The 2025 flood, rival burger bonanzas rumors, and a barbecue contest win had solidified Grace's table as KC's heart. Danielle's apology after a tense confrontation, Grace listing $67,000 in sacrifices, from wedding to house payments, marked a turning point. Weekly calls, holiday visits, and Michael's job recovery through Grace's contacts rebuilt trust. Liam and Sophie, now 13 and 11, were Grace's pride, their summer visits cementing bonds. By 2030, Grace's table had expanded. A second location opened in the River Market, run by Mabel, the cornbread queen. Grace semi-retired, training Lena to manage daily operations. She focused on vision, new recipes, community events. X posts buzzed. Grace's table, where KC eats, loves, laughs. A national food blog called it America's Diner, praising its senior staff and heartland soul. Grace smiled, reading reviews, her apron swapped for a cardigan. Liam and Sophie interned summers, no longer grumbling kids but eager teens. Liam, tall and lanky, managed orders, mimicking Clarence's swagger. "What's it gonna be?" he'd grin, notepad steady. Sophie, creative and bold, designed menus, her crown flowers now digital art. They spent weekends learning, Liam grilling with Clarence, Sophie baking with Rosa. "You're our legacy," Grace told them, her heart full. Danielle and Michael were regulars, their marriage stronger. Danielle, now a head nurse, shared hospital stories over coffee. Michael, stable in a logistics job Grace's regular connected him to, helped with diner repairs. "Thanks for the hookup, Grace," he'd said, sincerity replacing his old smugness. They celebrated anniversaries at the diner, Liam and Sophie serving with pride. Grace kept Michael's 2025 apology letter in her desk, a reminder of change. Grace wrote a memoir, From Burden to Blessing, published in 2028. It detailed her journey, Ohio's humiliation, Kansas City's triumph, the $400,000 secret fortune she'd used to fund her family's life and her diner's birth. The book soared, a bestseller inspiring seniors nationwide. "You're never too old to start over," Grace wrote. Book signings packed Grace's table, readers hugging her. "You changed my life," a 70-year-old woman said, tears falling. Winters brought challenges. A 2027 blizzard shut roads, but Grace hosted stranded locals serving free stew. A 2029 power outage tested them, but Tom rigged generators, Clarence played acoustic jazz, and Sophie led flashlight games. Community rallied. Neighbors brought blankets, food. Grace's GoFundMe, started by Hank, funded upgrades. "This is family," Grace said, watching customers dance to Clarence's tunes. Spring 2030 brought Mother's Day, a date once painful. Grace planned a celebration. Free desserts, live jazz, no cruel cards. The diner glowed with lilies, tables packed. Liam and Sophie arrived early, decorating with Sophie's art. "No bad cards this time, Grandma," he teased, hugging her. Sophie gave her a handmade bracelet. "Love you forever." Grace's eyes misted, the 2025 pain a distant memory. Danielle and Michael arrived, bearing gifts. A photo album of diner memories, from seniors' night to the barbecue win. "We made this, Mom," Danielle said, voice soft. Grace flipped through, seeing Liam flipping pancakes, Sophie's lopsided pie, Clarence's band. "You've made something amazing," Michael said, meeting her eyes. Grace nodded. We all did. The celebration buzzed. Clarence's band played. Esther served pies. Rosa's biscuits vanished. Lena told a story of Casey's jazz roots. Kids wide-eyed. Hank toasted. "To Grace, our heart." Cheers erupted. Danielle pulled Grace aside. "Mom, I was wrong for so long. You're my hero." Grace hugged her, tears falling. "We're family, Danielle. Keep showing it." Michael joined, offering a rare smile. "We will." Liam and Sophie performed, a surprise. Liam played a trumpet riff, coached by Clarence, notes wobbly but earnest. Sophie read a poem, Grandma's Table, Where Love Grows. Grace clapped, tears streaming. The crowd roared, ex-posts capturing the moment. Grace's table is love. Healing was complete, not perfect, but real. Summer loomed and Grace planned a trip. She'd visit her Nassau condo, a dream deferred. She told Esther, a vacation, not a move. Esther laughed. "You'll be back. KC is home." Grace packed, leaving Lena in charge. Liam and Sophie begged to join. "Next time," she promised, sending cobbler recipes. At the airport, Grace reflected. From a 2025 card's cruelty, "You're a heavy burden," she built a legacy. She'd given $67,000 to an ungrateful family, raised Danielle alone, faced floods, rivals, betrayal. Kansas City gave her purpose: jazz, barbecue, community. Grace's table was her heart, shared with seniors, locals, and her grandkids. Danielle's calls, Michael's effort, the kids' love, they'd learned her value. Boarding the plane, Grace smiled. At 80, life wasn't over, it was full. She taught the world, value yourself and others follow. Nassau's beaches awaited, but Grace's table was home. She'd return, ready for more. Back in KC, the diner thrived. Liam planned a jazz night, Sophie designed a mural. Danielle and Michael hosted a family dinner inviting Grace's staff. To Mom, Danielle toasted. Via video call, Grace beaming from Nassau. The neon sign glowed, a beacon of resilience, love, second chances.